Happening today, the design for the cover of the 2020 Albany Visitors Guide was revealed.
The Eastern Sectional Synchronized Skating Competition gliding into town for the weekend, bringing skaters from up and down the East Coast.
Once all is said and done, we're expecting upwards of $4.1 million economic impact.
The staff from Discover Albany and the city's Office of Cultural Affairs, they've been working hard to create a digital display for the city's first ever virtual Tulip Fest.
For Albany, spring really starts with the Tulip Festival.
They've also launched the hashtag 518 Tulip Tracker. The thread features blooming flowers all across the city, and you at home are encouraged to share your pictures too.
Albany's Washington Park is joining Troy and Schenectady as filming locations for the Amazon Prime series Modern Love.
A TV series brings in $165,000 per day when they're shooting.
To honor Eliza Schuyler Hamilton during the month of her birth, Discover Albany is hosting a scavenger hunt consisting of 5 historic locations across Albany County.
It's a great opportunity to get people out, connecting the dots between the musical and what they've learned and the history here in Albany in a fun way.
Walking Ghost tours are taking to Albany this Halloween season, and this year they have professional actors to bring our city's spookiest tales to life.
Josh and several other Capitol Rep players have joined forces with the original Albany Ghost Tour. Every show has been sold out since the first weekend.
Hi everyone! Hi everyone! Hi everyone! It's Maeve again with Discover Albany, here with another Fun Fact Friday.
It's National Travel and Tourism Week. This year's theme is "The Spirit of Travel Cannot Be Broken." Although we can't meet in person, we can stay connected and supportive of each other during these uncertain times. When residents embrace the spirit of travel by supporting local businesses and helping others, it plays a pivotal role in helping the Capital District's community.
Hi, I'm Melissa Lotmore, born and raised here in Albany, New York.
Hi, my name is Trent Griffin-Brawl. I've been in the area since I was 10 years old.
And today I'm going to take you on a little tour.
I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite places in Albany County.
To discover my Albany. So I hope you enjoy.
Tourism is worth $1 billion a year alone in Albany County. The plans are already taking shape to bring back the tourists at the pandemic.
We're going to be ready to hit the ground running again because we haven't stopped thinking like $1 billion destination.
Welcome to Albany!
Welcome to Albany!
Welcome to Albany!
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This feels strange and wonderful all at the same time to see all of your faces in this room. Welcome to Discover Albany's annual celebration of hospitality excellence. I'm Jill Delaney, President and CEO of Discover Albany. I think most of you knew that, but if you don't recognize me outside of a tiny window on a computer screen, this is still me. I should mention that first and foremost, we are here in the Capitol Center, as you all know, and we want to thank the Albany Capitol Center for hosting us today. It's a great opportunity for us to show what a hybrid meeting can look like. We also want to thank our sponsors, the Albany Convention Center Authority and Albany Parking Authority. We're so grateful to them for their support, and we're so grateful to all of you for coming here in person or joining us virtually. I'd also like to thank our special guests who are joining us today to share their knowledge and insights with us. Anna Nash, Vice President, Market Development for ASM Global, and Kobe Akufu-Awu. I tried. He is the Consulting and Analytics from STR. You're going to be hearing some great presentations from them today. And if that video that you just got to see didn't demonstrate it enough, I'm here to tell you that despite all that happened or what didn't happen in the past year, the team at Discover Albany never skipped a beat, but we did a lot during all the change. So that was just a taste of it. For starters, we introduced the Discover Albany app. There's a picture of that on the cover of that annual report. I hope you all download it if you haven't already. That was one of the things we've always wanted to do, and in a time where touch-free became the thing to do, we just jumped in and did that instead of printing a new visitor guide. We also did several other pivots. We had to just change the way our organization served the community and visitors throughout the pandemic. Our visitor center went virtual. Our meetings, like everybody else's, they moved to Zoom. Our tours were sold out, and we had to have many of them because those walking tours actually had to be with groups who arrived together. So in order to do it safely, we had a lot of walking, as you saw going on in that video. Our social media exploded with interest from locals and those seeking to do safe activities closer to home. Every member of our team demonstrated just how resilient and creative they are, if we didn't know that already. And I'm so grateful to every single one of them for their commitment to you, our partners. For more about what we were up to throughout 2020, please take some time to read our annual report. Not only will it give you some insights on all that we did to keep going, but it might also give you some ideas on how you could partner with us in the future. And while I would normally walk you through a PowerPoint, I think that video did a great job of highlighting a lot of what we did. And I think it's very important today that we keep moving forward through our presentation. And with that, if he is ready, I would like to introduce virtually Albany County Executive Dan McCoy.
Jill, thank you. And to everyone, I know it's been a tough 419 days, 59 weeks later, and we had to reimagine what the workforce is going to look like, how we are going to have tourists come back into Albany County and reopen. And for your leadership and to the board's leadership, thank you. To the restaurants and hotels, I know it's been tough. There hasn't really been a lot of relief for the hotels and restaurants as much as that should have been, but we're going to get through this. And if we learned anything, is how to operate through difficult times and be resilient, and everyone has been resilient. And as we continue to open up and things are getting better, our COVID numbers are going down, hospitals are going down, which is all good stuff. But now we have to get workers back to work. We have to get people back in the restaurants. We got to get people back in the hotels. And I'm hoping, by May 15th in that area that we'll be fully almost up to 100%. By June, we should be. And we have to be ready to welcome people here to start traveling. Everyone's starting to get their COVID or get their vaccine. If you haven't, please get your vaccine. Talk to your friends that haven't gotten the vaccine to get the vaccine, because everyone that gets a shot in their arm is closer to being fully open and getting back to somewhat of a life that we had pre-COVID. But as we know going forward, things are going to be handled differently. And when I think of the NCAA before all this started, where we were at, a little bit of 14 months ago, and we were getting ready for the NCAAs, we were getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, and everything shut down. And we had to get through them difficult times, and we still have difficult times ahead of us. But I want to say to Jill, thank you for being the backbone of Albany County. But to the business owners, we're here for you, and we want to make sure you're here into the future and that you have a good partner in Albany County. So we're going to continue to work in partnership with everyone that we can to make sure that when we're fully open, we're ready to go. And that video was awesome. I want to say that the video was great, but now's the time more than ever that we have to be there for each other. And I got to say this, New York is at its best when we're at our worst times, because we come together and people work together and people stand up for one another and help each other. And that's everyone that's on this Zoom call. That's all the residents of the capital region in New York State that literally had to operate differently. Workers are, we're working remote. We had to learn to Zoom. We had to learn to do everything remotely to continue to deliver vital services. And the restaurants and hotels are a vital service because people feel normal when they go to a restaurant, or they want to get away for the weekend. And I was amazed at how many people just stay at nights in hotels in Albany. And they're like, yeah, I got a hotel room downtown Albany, or I was on Wolf Road, just to kind of just get away and just feel like, some type of little vacation from the bubble that we've been living in. So I do want to say thank you to everyone. Jill, thank you for putting this together. And it's important that we all listen, learn from one another. It's been a lot of trials and tribulations that we all had to get through. And I like to call problems in life hurdles. They're meant to get over. And we will get over every hurdle that's been thrown at us. We'll continue to move forward. We got to continue to move forward, and we have to get back to some type of normalcy, and we're getting there. So thank you to everyone that's on this. I look forward to listening and hearing from everybody. And again, Joe, thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you, County Exec. Good afternoon. My name is Doug McLean. I am the General Manager here at the Albany Capitol Center, and I am also the Board Chair here of Discover Albany. And I will say, when they asked me to be the incoming chair for Discover Albany, I did not read the fine print saying during a global pandemic. So with that, good afternoon. Thank you all for attending in person. As a token of our appreciation, a nice door prize for all of you in attendance here in person, free parking. The gates will be up, so no worries about that. Before we get started, I just wanted to say how excited I was, for today. I got up this morning, suit pants almost fit, drove in, saw some traffic, was excited there's people, but more importantly, I knew that I was going to be able to spend the afternoon with people in person, hosting folks like we love to do. A quick shout out to ACES. ACES is our preferred vendor here at the Albany Capitol Center, and they took this task on last March when this whole thing started. So I've come up with quite a few different ideas. I've tasked them with many projects. They never said no. They never said we can't. So they've always rose to the challenge, and I appreciate them for that. So again, thank you for your presentation today. And now after those fine words, pressure's on for the rest of the meeting here. As much as we all would like to forget about 2020, it's important we take the time to recognize the good. Many people in our community stepped up and helped us to get to this point we are today. A point where we can finally start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Today we take the opportunity to recognize our Toby recipient and his extraordinary efforts rising to the challenge when I don't think the challenge could have been any tougher, and he did it all for the community and for the Capital Region. So looking forward to that. But I also want to congratulate everyone in the room, all of you for being here today, persevering over the last 14 months, doing things that you probably never thought you would do, and stuff that you did many moons ago on your rise to being the leaders that you are today. When we were planning this meeting, I stressed the importance. I said, we need to do this in person. We're the group that needs to bring the meetings back, to meet the persons and bring people into the room. Meetings in person. Virtual is great, but we need to have that person, that interaction. And we saw in the video what the hospitality industry can do. So with that, I thank you all, and we are the group that has shown and will continue to show that this destination, Albany, the Capital Region, is ready to meet you again, and we are ready to do so in person. With that, at this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker. As most of you know, ASM Global is the management company that operates both the Albany Capitol Center and the Times Union Center. With that, over 350 facilities across the globe. So we have really seen this pandemic, globally. And Anna Nash is our Vice President of Marketing and Development. She hopped on that right in the middle of the pandemic as well. So someone to be driving in the industry, I think we know what a go-getter Anna is. And she has prior experience working with the Dayton Visitors Bureau, leading that organization, and then she's been with ASM Global. And she has had a great opportunity, I think, to work, both globally, nationally. We spoke a little bit earlier today. We were on a call on how she's working internationally now, and being able to see what this pandemic has done, not just to individual communities, but as the industry as a whole. So we asked her to share some perspective on what she's seeing nationally, and I thank Anna for joining us today. Anna.
Hello, everyone. I am so sad I am not there. I can't wait until the day that I am going to be there with you, and hopefully, if all goes well today, maybe I'll get another invite next year. And you know, Doug, I am in my flip-flops. So, you know, pearls and a sweater up here, but I am wearing my flip-flops under my desk. But it is a pleasure to be here. And thank you to Doug for asking. Thank you so much to Jill for asking ASM Global to be part of this celebration today. And again, wish I were there with you. Let's put the next slide on, because that's something way prettier to see. And I hope that it's blue skies outside of the lovely Albany Capitol Center today. As Doug mentioned, my name is Anna Nash, and I'm the Vice President of Market Development for ASM Global. I have the privilege of working with our sales and marketing teams across 4 platforms in strategic partnerships, business development, marketing, and training. As Doug mentioned, my background previously to coming to ASM Global and in venue management was in DMO, hospitality sales, as well as hotel sales before that. So today I'll be sharing some current positions and trends and best practices as we continue to navigate the many phases of the pandemic. As Doug mentioned, also wanted to just start broad to introduce you a little bit to ASM Global and our portfolio, 5 continents, over 300 venues. Next slide, please. That breakdown looks like this: stadiums, arenas, 90 convention centers. The 90 convention centers are specifically the ones that I have the pleasure of working with. And of course, couldn't love working with Doug and Shannon anymore. So just love the partnership we have with the Albany Capitol Center. Next slide, please. Also wanted to just give you a little bit of a footprint on where we are in North America and where those 90 convention centers are. We've got a new one opening this summer in Panama, so I hope that travel is going to be opening up for me to visit there. Next slide, please. So that's enough about ASM Global and who we are. Wanted to get down into the meat of what we're going to be talking about today. You know, the vaccine momentum is really paving the road for reopening. This is actually some projections for total event counts that are going to be in ASM Global venues for the remainder of 2021. As you can see, 18, 19, you know, 19 being a great year. Dipping down, obviously, to only hosting 6,100 events in 2020. And further in the presentation, we'll let you see what types of events we've been hosting and we are currently hosting. And again, that 8,500 number is the projection for the number of events that we'll host by year end. I should mention too that many of this data is from March, so it's a little bit outdated. If there's one thing we know, as soon as you say something, a trend, a data, a stat, it's history, because it's changing that quickly every single day. So these light numbers are likely growing a little bit more as we approach the end of April, 1st of May. Next slide, please. This is the actual event activity in the markets that we had on the books by the end of March. So you can see kind of in the first and second quarters, a lot of what you guys already know. Sports have been very resilient and have been a consistent in our venues that have been able to host any type of event activity whatsoever. The other events, again, are some of those events that we'll get to a little bit later that we're doing as community service in the destinations that we're proud to serve. Obviously, consumer shows, they're chomping at the bit. They're ready to get back. I'm sure your phones are ringing with consumer shows, some small galas, dinners, small corporate meetings. So as you continue to look at Q4, we do see that those other events are still going to be there. And those are some of the events that we currently have as vaccination distribution sites and et cetera. Some of those sports events in Q4, and then those consumer shows coming in Q4 as well. And I think there'll be some opportunity as well for some corporate short-term bookings coming into Q4 as well. Next slide, please. So here's the slide where, you know, there's a lot of copy on this, I realize, so appreciate that there's a lot of data on here, but, you know, kind of looking at the industry from that macro level, we need to realize and be patient. This is going to be a dimmer switch. It's not going to be a light switch. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that the anticipated demand, as we mentioned, are those consumer shows, regional activity going to be the norm coming into the rest of this year and into 2022. But the key factors that we're monitoring are, you know, the consumer confidence. How safe do they feel in venues? How safe do they feel to travel? And the vaccine rollout confidence. I did want to read a quote as you all kind of digest the rest of this that I got from the World Travel and Tourism Council, that our research shows that if mobility and international travel resumes by summer this year, the sector's contribution to global travel and tourism GDP, which is gross domestic product, could sharply rise in yet 2020. They also said that the key to unlocking this sector by this summer, and in turn reviving millions of jobs, lies within comprehensive testing regime for non-vaccinated travelers, mandatory mask wearing, and enhanced health and hygiene protocols across the board. So that quote couldn't be more relevant to everything that all of this data and all of the statistics are reinforcing. With that, as we move across this, you know, we know the obstacles that we have. Certainly, it's timing of things and the lack of clarity on the government restrictions. I think what's so difficult, and I know New York is going through this, is the competition from the open locations. You know, we have venues that are open for business and they're extremely busy. And then we have others that when they open, you know, they've lost that business that would have been there, but they've gone to other destinations because they're already open. And then those open destinations are, I'm sure, going to try to get those multi-level agreements, multi-year agreements to keep them moving forward. So that has been a really big obstacle for all of our venues as they're opening completely at different times. Another obstacle is the exhibitor and the planner budgets obviously have been cut due to everything. So that's a challenge for everyone moving forward. There are many positives, which 75% of the planners in these data, and the data that we're quoting from here, we've gotten from PCMA, we've gotten from Longwoods, we've gotten from American Express Travel. So kind of a conglomeration of a lot of really good points and expertise in our industry. So 75% of the planners are seeking to rebook actively into Q4 this year and moving into 2022. We feel like the exhibitor attendee confidence is trending in the right direction. Domestic travel on the leisure side, you know, is booming right now. Airfares are going back up. Everybody has seen what's happening with, you know, the rental cars and not being able to potentially get a rental car. So certainly that leisure pent-up demand, we're seeing that. And I believe as people become comfortable with traveling in that leisure sector, that meetings, conventions then will follow. We know that they're going to follow after leisure, but we do feel like they will follow shortly thereafter. But domestic travel, meetings, conventions expected to return to pre-COVID levels by late 2022. Specifically in that, you know, mid to market activity, we feel like that's where we're going to see the most traction. Certainly there's momentum in the sports market where many of our venues have been hosting volleyball, some cheer and dance, and a few gymnastics tournaments. So that leads us over to priorities, where cleanliness, and that was mentioned in this quote from the World Travel and Tourism Council, cleanliness and sanitation. I'm going to speak a little bit about ASM Global's proprietary program, Venue Shield, activating, planning, and protocols, and letting your customers know that in advance. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You just cannot over communicate what your protocols are so they feel safe, and then your planner can give those to the attendees so the attendees are going to feel safe when they're coming back into buildings and your hotels. Certainly hybrid will remain an integral portion of in-person events, because there's been so much traction in virtual and hybrid, and those organizers have been able to attract attendees on that platform that they wouldn't have normally been able to, even if they were having in-person events. So they certainly don't want to lose those attendees as the live events return. So I still feel like, and all the data is showing us that hybrid and virtual is still going to be in place as we continue to reopen and we move into live events. A priority is certainly our workforce depth. As Doug mentioned, we had a call today with some other leaders and some other event venues in the ASM Global portfolio, and getting qualified workers to come back has been a real struggle with the stimulus checks going at least through September. So I know that's probably something that a lot of people in the room here are struggling with as well. Next slide, please. So the current state of our convention centers are 34% of them are currently hosting some type of event. A fourth of them are planning to host some type of event in the next coming weeks. And then 40% have been closed to commercial business. But with that commercial business, please know that 100% of our venues have been hosting some form of community support activities. And we're so proud of that. And we're so proud that we were able to make a difference in our community when we were needed. You can see the percentages and what we've been doing as far as using our venues for COVID testing, alternative care facilities, food distribution, elections. Some of our venues have been holding court because they weren't able to utilize courthouses in their destinations, and then 75% as vaccination sites. Next slide, please. Again, this just goes to show some pictures of how we've been activating our venues. Certainly, we've also been used as a shelter, and as blood donation centers. So whatever we can do and whatever we've been able to do to help our communities, we've been more than happy to do that. Next slide, please. So again, as we mentioned, being ready to reopen, part of that process has been implementing the very best in health and environmental safety protocols. And that's why we have Venue Shield. So I'm sure you've seen many of these logos through today, even throughout the Albany Capitol Center. I believe if you went into the restroom, that far right is one of their keep your distance on all of their signage in the Albany Capitol Center. Some of this signage is from Puerto Rico. Some of it is just from a lot of our other venues in and around our portfolio. Example, a couple of these room sets. But every single venue has that reopening plan. And the reopening plan goes out to all of our clients well in advance of the event. And then that client is also coming up with their safety protocols. So it's just a back and forth communication between the event organizers or their customers coming in, and then us as the venue operators, letting them know, being very transparent as to our plan to keep their guests safe while they're in our venues. By midsummer, we do expect all of our venues to be open, and we're really looking forward to that, 100%. Next slide, please. A little bit more about Venue Shield and how we developed this. Again, we developed this with ACOM and with the Drexel University College of Medicine. So a lot went into these safety and environmental protocols, and we're currently implementing in this on over 300 of our venues. So we're very proud of Venue Shield. Next slide, please. Just an example of some of the events that have been open for business. I don't know if you've got UFC fans in the audience tonight, but if you watched any of the fights, it was sold out last weekend in Jacksonville. It was amazing. This month in April, the Rangers allowed 40,000 people to attend the home opener. We're hearing from music promoters that they're announcing their arena and concert tours this year. So there's certainly so much demand for those entertainers to get on the road, even more than the supply that we have yet this year. So I'm sure that there will be an arena open at some point in Q3 or Q4 for a concert near you. We do have venues in Branson, some in South Carolina, and some in Texas that are fully open with no capacity restrictions. So again, that goes back to speak to, that's a difficulty, because I know you're sitting in New York at, I believe Doug said 150 and maybe 25% capacity at the arena. So hopefully that will continue to gain momentum, and those capacities will be relaxed in the near future as well. Some of the factors to consider, next slide, please. Some of the factors to consider for moving forward are that emergency preparedness. Your staff and organization have that clear process. And again, as we mentioned, communicate it pre and during and post conference. As we restart, meetings are expected to be a little bit smaller, and a 36% increase in the number of senior leadership or board meetings. Expecting the total cost of attendee per day, and this is excluding air, to be down for every event type. And almost 2/3 of respondents, and this was from the American Express travel survey, they predict that their overall meeting spend will be down. Respondents are going to expect language and flexible language for payment methods and cancellations in their license agreements. And I'm sure you guys are starting to see this as you've had to move business from 20 into 21 or 21 into 22 and beyond. You're seeing that pushback on language, especially in indemnification, force majeure, relaxed cancellation policies. It was curious, they did ask, if you had 10% extra added into your budget, where would you reallocate that? And the number one answer was improving the on-site experience. And then number two is increased use of technology. When we do return to live events, the planners are so passionate about making sure that on-site experience is just exceptional and is memorable, because we're all very emotional about returning to live events and wanting to be there. I'm sure you're experiencing that today, and how much gratitude and how happy you are to see your friends and colleagues that you haven't seen in so long. Next slide, please. So finally, just wanting to end that, we want to give the world a reason to cheer. And, I wish that this could be a room full of a meeting and convention general session, but I don't think we're going to get there this year. So I put this last slide in as a big full concert arena, because I think we can get there this year. I think there is going to be an opportunity for you to come in and visit an arena and see one of your favorite concerts yet this year, and maybe next year we'll be able to show some great pictures of the Albany Capitol Center full of people. So thank you very much. I hope I haven't taken too much time, but I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Thanks, Anna, so much for your time. I can relay if there's any questions in the room for Anna. Happy to take them. If not, we can move on. Anna, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, if you are a data geek, then this is your lucky day because we have some more information to share with you. Our next presenter, as I mentioned, Kobe, is from STR. That is actually the kind of the pulse of our hotel industry, and destination marketing organizations like Discover Albany rely on their information to tell us, you know, what the occupancy is for hotels, what the average daily rate is for hotels, and it gives us that pulse of how things are going. We commissioned a special report from STR, which will give us kind of projections into what the future will look like. And we think that's important for everyone here, because when the hotels are busy, everyone becomes busy as a de facto. So with that, we have a great video with Kobe.
Hi, my name is Kobe Akufo. I am an operations analyst at STR, tasked with helping our forecast team develop market and custom forecast reports for North America. Before I begin, I would like to thank Joe Delaney for commissioning this report that covers Albany County, New York. I will walk you through our forecast assumptions, our US forecast, and Albany County forecast for 2021. This slide shows our US forecast assumptions for 2021, broken down into 4 quarters. Our base case assumption is for 60% of the US population to be vaccinated by June. This would ease travel restrictions, which will enable leisure demand to pick up in Q2 through Q4 for most destination markets. Business travel will also see some recovery, but at a slower pace due to corporate travel restrictions and virtual communication tools. Group demand will be the slowest to recover. When we shared this slide deck earlier, we received a question on this particular slide. And the question was, besides the 60% vaccination rate, what one factor supporting the forecast are we less confident in? We think group might underperform and further hurt the recovery of big group markets in 2021. It is difficult for some groups to commit resources when there is still uncertainty. While other groups still plan to meet, attendance will be very limited. Labor is probably going to be challenging in some situations as well. It is tough to restaff when there's such dynamic changes in hotel performance. Before I dive into our US forecast, I would like to explain our new metric, total room inventory, which we've nicknamed TRI. At the peak of closures due to COVID-19, 18% of US hotel rooms closed. A new methodology was needed to deal with the unprecedented number of hotel closures due to COVID-19, as our standard inventory removes hotel temporarily closed for a month out of the equation. So for example, if there were 30 hotels in the US and 20 hotels were temporarily closed, the standard methodology only accounted for 10 hotels, hence skewing occupancy levels higher than what they should be. This gave birth to TRI, which assumes no temporary closures. Currently, only about 3% of hotels are temporarily closed in the US. Not surprisingly, a high proportion of these closures are in large cities such as DC and New York. Turn our attention to actual numbers on this slide. For March 2021 occupancy, our standard methodology came in at 54.6, where TRI, which accounts for no temporary closures, as I noted before, came in at 52.8. Let's turn our attentions to the forecast that STR released in late January. As you recall, 2019 was the best single year of the hotel industry ever to record, while 2020 was the worst single year the industry has ever experienced. Demand was cut by 1/3, ADR was cut by 21%, which implies RevPAR was cut in half. Forecast for 2021 and 2022 is therefore very, very positive from a percentage change perspective. We are forecasting RevPAR to grow by 22% and 34% for 2021 and 2022 respectively. For 2021, we expected hotel rooms to be still half empty. By 2022, the forecast calls for occupancy to reach 60%, and even then, pricing power is expected to be limited. While the difference between the 60% in 2022 we forecasted for and the all-time high of 66% in 2019 might not seem that much, It's exactly those 6 points of occupancy that really drive compression nights in markets, hence rate growth, and really give hoteliers pricing power. Over the years since the last downturn in 2009, 2/3 of rooms have been full for several years running, ending in 2019. By 2021 year end, we are projecting just less than half of the rooms would be full again. By 2022, we are looking at 60%, fingers crossed. From a KPI perspective, since 2019 was the best year for the industry, we have indexed our KPIs to 2019 levels to show how far off we were in 2020 and moving forward based on our forecast. We are forecasting 2021 RevPAR to be down 39% after contracting 50% during the pandemic in 2020. 2022, we are anticipating RevPAR to be down only 19% compared to 2019 levels. In terms of a long-term recovery, demand will be the first KPI to return in early 2023 to 2019 levels, followed by occupancy and ADR. We are forecasting 2024 RevPAR to achieve an index of approximately 96% relative to 2019 levels, due to the lag effect of rate recovery coupled with demand recovery being somewhat offset by supply growth. With many pipeline projects with openings being delayed until after the pandemic, this supply growth will somewhat curtail the growth of absolute occupancy levels moving forward. Currently, actual recorded demand outpaced our January forecast, but this is something we all could be happy we're wrong about. This was as a result of an uptick in leisure activities in various markets such as Florida and other drive-through destinations. With transient demand flowing to several destinations over the past several weeks, actual demand was only down by 12%, beating our full quarter expectations, which we were initially calling for 30% decline for Q1 for 2021. Rates, on the other hand, have been relatively on par with our projections for 2021 Q1, as you can see from this slide. Diving into our Albany County forecast, we are projecting a slow ramp up in demand, which will lead to a slow ramp up in occupancy levels. We are projecting occupancy to achieve 34% growth year end, which is around 77% of where it was in 2019. Rates are projected to slightly increase by 1% year end as demand returns post-COVID environment. This slight rate growth or muted rate growth is as a result of hoteliers employing rate discounting techniques in an effort to induce demand. This will limit pricing power as demand returns this year. Looking at the absolute values, RevPAR is forecasted to be 35% below its 2019 levels for 2021 full year. When we initially shared this slide deck, we got two questions for this particular slide. The first one was, if you compare the US slide, which I shared earlier with you, it appears though Albany County as the total region will rebound slightly slower than the country as a whole. Actually, Albany County is forecasted to grow RevPAR by 35.9% compared to the total US, which is only growing RevPAR by 21.6% for 2021. This growth is attributed to leisure demand rebound mostly and little to no group demand. Currently, Albany County year to date, as of March 2021, transient demand commands 81% share of occupancy compared to 60% share same period in 2019. In 2019, as of March, group commanded 29% as compared to 4.2% currently. The last question that we had on this slide was, how do your forecast account for potential bankruptcy and other financial pressures put on hotels? As for financial pressures, I tend to fall back on the idea that we will see different situations across properties. Some properties will indeed be financially constrained, while others will be reinvesting and renovating at this particular time. Based on the trend and the current state of the industry, we are forecasting approximately 48,000 rooms to permanently closed during 2021. Thank you for joining my section with Albany County. I hope you enjoyed today's section. Feel free to contact me at the email provided with any follow-up questions or for a copy of the presentation. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay and Jill, for helping put that together. I think it's important to show specific to Albany County and what we're all faced with, rather than the larger scale things. So it's good to see that at least there was positive numbers there. They're not all the big as we want them to see, but we're getting there. And I think that's, again, to everybody's efforts here in the room. Since this is an annual meeting, we do have some business to take care of. Late 2020, we had elections for some new board members, and I just wanted to introduce them as they were appointed. We have Trent Griffith-Broth, who was in our opening video. He's with Tech Valley Shuttle. Tamis Groff with the Albany Institute of History and Art, and Linda Neal, General Manager of the Holiday Inn Express on Wolf Road. So we welcome our new board members. And with the new board members, we say goodbye to two board members. Mike Galati, who has been a long time server. I think we always found another reason for him to serve another term. So Mike Galati, past board chair, and Robin Jackson, who served as treasurer. They left. So we thank them for their time. My staff's looking at me like, oh my God, he actually has notes. So this. The Toby Award. Albany's hospitality industry is an essential component of the Capital Region's economic vitality, and I think we all saw the numbers today that show that. The Professor Anthony J. Striani's Hospitality Excellence Award is the only honor developed solely to recognize excellence in travel and tourism and represents the best of Albany's hospitality culture. There are hospitality professionals around the world who were positively influenced by Professor Striani's and his 40-year career in the hospitality industry. The naming of this award for the Toby is a great tribute to him and all of his work. In March of 2020, amid the emerging COVID-19 global pandemic, Dominic Pernomo, wine director and co-owner of Yonos and DPs, co-founded Feed Albany. Over the last 14 months, or 419 days, as county exec said, Feed Albany has since provided meals for those at risk and in need in the community, with a special focus on those who work, or in many cases, had worked in the hospitality industry. The Pernomo family are pillars in our community and have donated their time to so many great causes. They have an incredible way of making everyone they encounter feel the most important person in the room. Dominic is no exception to this. While most people end a conversation with a quick thanks or good speaking to you or see you later, Dominic always finishes with a heartfelt, I appreciate you. Well, today, Dominic, we, Albany, the Capital Region, appreciate you and are thrilled to be able to present this year's Toby Award to one of Toby's prize students, Dominic Pernomo.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see everybody in person and the tens of you watching online. It does feel nice to gather in person for the first time in a very long while. I appreciate all of you that came out today, and those of you tuned in at home, at work, on your devices. I'm truly humbled and honored to be the recipient of the 2021 Toby Award. This feels full circle to me. I've known Toby and Pam Striani's since I was probably my children's age, as my parents would take me to events not unlike this many years ago. I've long admired Toby's work as a hospitality professional, an educator, an author, and as a community member. I feel privileged to receive such an honor in his name, and the fact that we've recently partnered with the culinary program at SUNY Schenectady to increase our footprint in Schenectady County feels a little more poignant today. I'm grateful for the recognition of all the people who have made Feed Albany what it is today. It's because of the selfless work of our founders, board of directors, and network of volunteers and partners that we are able to battle food insecurity across the 4 counties of the greater Capital Region that we serve. To date, we have given over 500,000 meals to those in need and at risk. On March 14th of last year, I sent out a tweet as a spark to ignite our community to help those in need. And the people who joined me became the gasoline that has lit that fire that has kept us going the last 14 months. My co-founders and partners in Feed Albany include Jason Pierce of the Savoy Taproom, who helped me get this off the ground, County Legislator Matt Peter, who is here today from the Albany Parking Authority, who helped us connect with city and county resources and to get us going. Christine Tate, who helped to get our initiative funded through her experience with incubators and startups, and Joe Bonilla of Relentless Awareness, who helped broadcast our message to the public. It is our core group that ignited our initial beginnings, and we have continued to lead over the last year. With great naivete, I thought we would be cooking these meals for a few weeks, and then we'd all go back to our lives. Here we are 56 weeks later, and I think 419 days. We're still here, and we're poised for tremendous growth in our second year. From day one, we were joined by Josh Turo, Krista Espinal, Ian O'Leary, and scores of other volunteer cooks who helped us fulfill this mission. People like Christine O'Neill, who is now our volunteer coordinator, Francesca Party, now our executive director, who hopefully is watching from home today as she just delivered a beautiful baby girl, Isabella, on Monday afternoon, and community members like Amy and Mark Gerling, Maureen Lundberg, Aaron Bramer, and hundreds of others who have given their time, talent, and love to help further our mission. I'd like to thank Mayor Sheehan, County Executive Dan McCoy, District Attorney David Source, Sheriff Craig Apple in the Albany Sheriff's Department, Chief Hawkins, Steve Smith in the Albany Police Department, who have all been supportive since the beginning, along with product donations from 9 Pin Cider, the Regional Food Bank, Cisco, US Foods, PepsiCo, the DiCrescenti family, and several others who came in to help along the way. Foundation grants from lending institutions such as Bank of America, Berkshire Bank, CEFCU, Key Bank, and more have funded our mission. And the same goes for people like the Mitzen family and the Ostroff family, who have been our most generous angel donors. Thank you to my parents, Donna and Yono, who taught me at a young age that it's just as important to give your time and your talent as it is to write a check. Though I may not always say it, I'm truly honored and proud to be your son. To my girls, Gemma, Hallie, and Blair, you're the light of my life and the reason that I get out of bed every day. To make the world you grow up a little more gentler, a little more kinder, and a little more giving. Because though it's nice to be important, it's more important to be nice. I'm so proud of you and so proud to be your daddy. I love you more than all the stars in the sky. And finally, to my wife, this year has not been kind to our family. At times I've lost sight of who I am. Despite it all, you remain a rock, a beacon, a temple, and continue to support everyone. Carolyn, you have loved me at times when I did not love myself. You are an angel. You are heaven sent. You are the most caring, patient, generous, loving, giving, and selfless and beautiful human being that I know. You remain my best friend, my partner, my person, and my bib. No matter what, you are the love of my life. Thank you for inspiring me and showing me what's most important in life, even when I couldn't see it on my own. I love you always. Thank you everyone for being here, for your support of Feed Albany, our community, and our region. Thank you.
Okay. I feel like I need a minute after that, Dominic. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, and thank you to you and all of your colleagues for all you've done for this community. So it is now our great pleasure to actually give out our grants. This is the one opportunity that we have every year to give back to those in our community who make Albany what it is. So I'd like to invite Leola Edelin, who is our immediate past chair and a member of our grant committee, to help hand out these checks. We literally have checks here for you. So I would invite everyone, if you are here in the room, to come up when we call your name. And Katie, do you want them to wait together over there. We're going to do a nice group picture. Keep your masks on. We'll definitely know what year this was taken then. So the Michelle L. Vennard Hospitality Grants are given in partnership with the Community Foundation of the Greater Capital Region to support programs and aid building and sustaining Albany County tourism destinations, attractions, events, tourism-related activities. The grants encourage collaboration between nonprofit organizations, the community groups, and hospitality businesses to further extend the economic impact of tourism and business. And we know that impact is great because we saw what it was like when it wasn't happening this year. So this is hopefully a nice jump start for a lot of organizations to get back on their feet, and we're so grateful that we were able to do this year. I will call each recipient by organization name. If you have a representative in the room, please come up and join us to the probably see Leola, and then step to the right of the screen to my right. So here are your checks. Do you want to go up there, or do you want me to read them? I think all right. I actually gave you.
Perfect. So first we have Albany Center Gallery, and this was specifically for the 3rd annual Capitol Walls Mural Bike Tours. Is there a representative from the gallery? All right. Next we have Albany County Historical Association, and this one was specifically for the immersion in the history of the Tenbrook visitor experience, improvement, and programs. There you are. Congratulations. And next we have the Albany Institute of History and Art for their fashionable frocks of the 1920s marketing support. Hi. And then we have the Albany Symphony Orchestra, and this is for the American Music Festival pop-up performance in Albany. And then we have the Corporation for Museum of Political Corruption using interactivity to teach and engage museum goers. Congratulations. Thank you. And then we have the Friends of Prune House, and for their old-fashioned Sunday. Congratulations, thank you. And then we have Historic Cherry Hill and completing the Catherine Rankin's master bedroom. Congratulations. And next we have Old Songs, Inc. for their virtual Old Songs Festival. All right, that's all right. And Park Playhouse, the 33rd season year-round programming. Thank you. And Pine Hollow Arboretum, and for their Magnolia Boardwalk. They're virtual today? That's great. Hi. And then for the Sage Colleges. No, that's all right. And then we have the Shaker Heritage Society for their museum exhibit redesign. Congratulations, thank you. And last but not least, we have Siena College for the Living Museum Project. That's you again? Oh. Thank you and congratulations to all of the recipients.
Thank you, Leola, for representing the committee. So another round of applause for all of this year's grant recipients. We know you will spend that money well in our county. I want to remind all the grant and award recipients to stick around for a few moments for some pictures. And everybody who was actually able to join us in person, you are welcome to actually speak to one another. Keep your masks on, but there are some beverages outside and some snacks for you to enjoy, and we hope that you will feel comfortable socializing once again. Thank you so much for coming, and we're so happy to see everyone in person again. Thank you.